You ever notice how some men work harder than anyone around them, spend long nights hustling, build businesses, side projects, and still feel like they're running in place? They chase promotions, raise their income, invest in themselves, but somehow their bank accounts don't reflect their effort. Most men think it's the economy, inflation, bad luck, or timing, but in reality, the biggest drains on your wealth are often subtle, quiet, and hidden inside relationships. Men confuse generosity with weakness, affection with obligation, and before they realize it, hard-earned money leaves their account faster than it comes in. This isn't about blame, this is about awareness, discipline, and protecting your future. Because if you don't understand the subtle ways money leaks in relationships, you'll keep repeating the same mistakes over and over while watching your financial freedom slip away, slowly and silently, like water through a cracked pipe. The first trap is emotional spending disguised as affection. It starts small. You buy her a gift, plan a dinner, date night, or weekend getaway, and think, this is love, connection, affection. But over time, you'll notice a pattern. Your happiness, confidence, and emotional security start to depend on spending. You feel good when you give. You feel anxious or guilty when you don't. You're training your brain to equate affection, approval, and emotional satisfaction with money and transactions. This is dangerous because once that association forms, you're no longer giving from abundance. You're giving from obligation and expectation. Emotional spending tricks your mind into thinking you're creating connection when in fact, you're conditioning dependence and subtly undermining your financial security. The solution is simple. Show attention, effort, consistency, and presence instead of relying on constant cash to create value. Genuine connection is built on understanding time invested, shared experiences, trust, loyalty, and communication, not price tags or gifts. The second trap is lifestyle inflation in relationships. Most men enter relationships with a steady routine and stable spending habits. But as dating intensifies, their lifestyle subtly expands. More dinners, eating out, small luxuries, gifts, entertainment, weekend trips, and social events multiply. While these experiences feel enjoyable, they silently increase expenses faster than income grows, creating a gap that eventually erodes savings and investment potential. Lifestyle inflation is insidious because it doesn't happen overnight. It creeps in slowly and becomes normalized. A man who does not manage this risk sacrifices financial freedom for temporary comfort and social approval. The financial principle here is awareness. Set clear boundaries for spending, plan for occasional indulgence without compromising long-term goals, and understand that maintaining your financial independence is a form of respect for both yourself and the relationship. A healthy relationship grows with financial discipline rather than relying on unsustainable spending to create temporary satisfaction. The third trap is the invisible debt of guilt. Most men overspend to make up for mistakes, to calm tension after arguments, to prove affection through gestures, or simply to avoid confrontation. Every dollar spent under emotional compulsion compounds into invisible debt, gradually undermining financial security. Guilt spending is dangerous because it replaces meaningful problem solving with temporary financial relief. When you give money to fix emotional discomfort, you are not investing in the relationship. You are covering up lack of communication, accountability, or emotional maturity. Real generosity comes from a place of choice, not pressure. A man who allows guilt to dictate spending erodes both his financial independence and emotional balance. The lesson is clear: control guilt, control spending. Give intentionally, strategically, and consciously, rather than reactively or emotionally. The fourth trap is confusing budgeting with stinginess. Men who start taking control of their finances often face criticism for being cheap or changed. Statements like, "You don't care anymore," or "You're being selfish," frequently emerge when you enforce limits on spending. Budgeting is not stinginess. It's strategic planning, protection of freedom, and long-term growth. It's the conscious choice to prioritize investments, assets, savings, and financial independence over temporary indulgence. A strong man protects his money, his choices, and his future. A healthy partner respects these boundaries and encourages financial responsibility. Every dollar preserved is a soldier in your army of freedom. Every dollar spent impulsively is a loss of options and autonomy. The fifth trap is the temporary help illusion. Most men respond generously to requests for short-term assistance, loans for bills, covering small emergencies, supporting minor expenses, out of care or compassion. But temporary often becomes habitual dependency. If you fund needs repeatedly without limits, you're creating a long-term financial burden for yourself. This is not generosity, it's enabling. A healthy approach is to offer resources, knowledge, or guidance that empower someone to manage their own finances instead of continuously providing cash that fosters reliance. Your financial discipline is strategic protection, not selfishness. The sixth trap is ignoring personal investments while chasing temporary validation. Men frequently spend heavily to impress, seek approval, or gain attention while neglecting saving, investing, or building passive income streams. Real growth demands long-term planning, focus, discipline, and prioritization. If you spend money to gain validation rather than to grow wealth, you're sacrificing your future for temporary recognition. Money invested in self-growth compounds into freedom, confidence, security, and opportunities. Money spent to impress disappears instantly. Real attraction originates from purpose, discipline, ambition, and long-term vision, not dinners, gifts, or temporary displays of wealth. Focus on building assets, skills, and independence. Anything else is a detour from freedom. Let's analyze the financial reasoning behind these traps. Money is energy, and it flows wherever attention goes. If emotions dominate financial decisions, you lose control of money and life. Men who maintain wealth don't avoid relationships. They navigate them strategically. They give effort, attention, and presence, not compulsive cash. They build assets, not debt. They plan, invest, and communicate clearly. Real attraction stems from ambition, discipline, skill, and purpose, not material displays. Emotional spending is a distraction that erodes autonomy and silently undermines financial growth. Practical strategies begin with awareness. Track every expense, even the smallest ones. Each emotional dollar spent without purpose is a leak you can fix. Set boundaries early. Your budget serves your freedom, not someone else's impulses. Automate savings. Pay yourself first to guarantee progress regardless of social or emotional pressures. Build an emergency fund covering at least 6 months of essential expenses. This fund protects you from impulsive spending or guilt-driven financial decisions. Communicate your limits confidently. A man who says, "That's outside my budget right now," asserts control over his life and financial future. Invest in continuous personal growth. Learn new skills, develop side income streams, explore passive earning opportunities. Increasing earning potential strengthens financial security and confidence. Analyze emotional spending patterns. Track every time money leaves your account for pleasure, approval, or temporary peace. Self-awareness prevents harmful habits from forming. Set goals for every dollar. Know why each expense exists and how it contributes to life, relationships, or future. Understand value versus cost. Every purchase should add value, protect wealth, or multiply it. Discipline under pressure is critical. Emotions test maturity. Pass these tests and freedom grows. Fail and debt silently accumulates. The essence of these 6 traps is discipline, awareness, control, and strategic giving. Men who recognize them don't avoid relationships. They navigate intelligently. They invest in connection, not obligation. They give to strengthen love, not to buy silence. They prioritize self-growth while sharing resources strategically. These lessons aren't just about money. They're about creating a life where emotional fulfillment and financial independence coexist. Every decision about money is a vote for the man you'll become. Every dollar spent wisely strengthens independence, freedom, and future options. Every dollar spent impulsively weakens control, confidence, and growth. Masculine power comes from controlling mind, emotions, and money. Spend consciously, give selectively, invest wisely, communicate clearly. Build wealth silently, live confidently, let results speak louder than receipts. Control finances, control destiny, control life. Real men protect both heart and wallet simultaneously. Ask yourself before every purchase, does this expense serve long-term goals? Does it strengthen the relationship genuinely or only temporarily? Am I giving from abundance or scarcity? Am I building wealth while giving or transferring resources without return? Answer honestly, and your money, life, and relationships will thrive. Real wealth isn't measured by spending. It's measured by control, stability, and freedom. Real attraction comes from ambition, discipline, and vision, not gifts or experiences bought to impress. Control finances, control destiny, control life. Real men protect both heart and wallet simultaneously. The 7th trap is financial secrecy in relationships. Many men avoid discussing income, expenses, debts, investments, or long-term financial plans because they fear judgment, conflict, or appearing controlling. They assume that privacy equals respect, but in reality, financial secrecy creates blind spots that can quietly destroy wealth. If you don't know where your money is going, how much you can safely spend, or what obligations exist, you lose control over your own life. Small debts grow unnoticed, overlaps in expenses create tension, and financial decisions become reactive rather than strategic. A healthy relationship requires transparency about money, not to control or dictate, but to protect both partners' futures. Clarity equals control, and control equals freedom. Never let assumptions or discomfort dictate your financial choices. Sit down early, discuss income, debts, shared costs, and future goals openly. Transparency is a strength, not weakness. It protects autonomy and prevents financial manipulation. The eighth trap is neglecting personal growth for the sake of relationship comfort. Many men stop learning, investing, side hustling, or pursuing ambitious projects because they feel comfortable or believe love replaces progress. But your financial and personal growth never pause for comfort. If you stagnate, you shrink. If focus shifts from building wealth, skills, and independence to maintaining attention or avoiding conflict, you sacrifice freedom and future options. A man must prioritize growth first because it strengthens both himself and his relationship. Invest in books, courses, networking, side projects, and passive income streams even while dating. If your partner genuinely cares, they will support your ambitions and celebrate progress. Real relationships enhance growth. They do not demand stagnation. The ninth trap is confusing generosity with obligation. Most men start giving freely out of love or care, then realize their giving is expected, assumed, or measured. This is dangerous because repeated, uncontrolled giving can drain finances and emotional energy. Regular gifts, favors, or financial support can shift from kindness to pressure. If giving feels burdensome, it is no longer generosity, it is exploitation. A healthy relationship respects limits and celebrates discipline. If someone measures love by your spending, you are funding control, not affection. Give intentionally, not compulsively. Set clear rules for money, stick to them, and communicate them with confidence. Generosity should strengthen, not weaken. The 10th trap is following social comparison. Social media amplifies pressure to spend, travel, show off wealth, or maintain appearances. Couples post luxurious vacations, designer items, dinners, and suddenly you feel compelled to match illusions. Men compare their reality to curated lifestyles, forgetting wealth is built quietly, strategically, and with discipline. Luxury and approval do not equal freedom. Money used to impress rarely improves your life. Stop chasing status symbols and focus on building assets that grow, not debt that drains. Choose value over validation. Invest in security, skills, and future growth, and ignore appearances. Masculine. Power comes from independent wealth creation, not competing for attention. The 11th trap is ignoring red flags in money behavior. Small warning signs appear early. Constant borrowing, reckless spending, resistance to financial boundaries, or dependence disguised as casual requests. Most men overlook these signs to avoid conflict or discomfort, but ignoring minor issues compounds risk. If a partner cannot respect limits when stakes are low, imagine the chaos when stakes rise. Awareness is key. Notice patterns early. Have conversations about spending habits. Insist on accountability, and set limits. Honest communication about finances strengthens relationships, while avoiding reality undermines both trust and freedom. Healthy money habits are as crucial as respect, communication, and loyalty. The 12th trap is believing money will fix emotional problems. Men often try to buy forgiveness, happiness, or loyalty through spending. But money is a magnifier. It amplifies good relationships and exposes weak ones. It cannot create connection, solve communication issues, or replace discipline. Using money to fill emotional gaps is temporary and costly. Real emotional intelligence requires words, actions, understanding, presence, not cash. If you attempt to solve conflict with money, you create dependency and financial stress. Instead, invest in skills, communication, discipline, character, and emotional awareness. Money should support growth, not cover deficiencies. Practical strategies to overcome these traps start with awareness. Track all expenses, establish clear financial boundaries, automate savings, build emergency funds, communicate limits confidently. Invest. In personal growth, analyze emotional spending patterns, understand value over cost, practice discipline under pressure, and always prioritize assets over appearances. When each dollar has a purpose and is aligned with long-term growth, you maintain autonomy, freedom, and control. Emotions will always test discipline. Fail the test and debt accumulates silently. Pass it and freedom grows. Real men give effort, attention, and presence, not compulsive cash. Real wealth comes from strategic, disciplined investment in self, relationships, skills, and future options. Real attraction originates from purpose, ambition, vision, discipline, not gifts or social validation. In summary, control finances, control life, control relationships. Real men protect both heart and wallet simultaneously. This is the ultimate strategy for lasting success, freedom, independence, confidence, wealth, and influence.